Ladies and gentlemen, Larry from the Shiz over here back again. I'm going to be doing my own movie review of Avengers Endgame, and I literally just saw this movie last night, and I literally just woke up too. Um, I'm not gonna lie, this movie, I had a lot of different emotions watching, this movie, and it honestly, I really liked. The shortest way I can explain it is that Endgame was a lot better than Infinity War, because in my opinion, even though both movies had their flaws, which I'll get to that, because Infinity War had its problems, Endgame also had its problems, but for the most part, Endgame was a lot more story driven, because Infinity War, on the other hand, was more like a build up to what we were supposed to expect, in this movie. And not just that, but we kind of already knew. The difference is that, like, when we watch Infinity War, we kind of already knew in advance that that the Avengers that disappeared from Thanos was going to make a return in Endgame, simply because we already knew they weren't dead. They were trapped inside the Soul Stone. So that was really not that much of a surprise to, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But anyway, I don't really want to dig too deep into that, because, this is a non-spoiler review. So for those of you who have not seen Endgame, you guys don't have to worry about this review spoiling the movie for you, because this is just my opinions on what I thought about the movie. But yeah, Endgame was a lot better than Infinity War, because it was heavy. It was more heavy on the story, more so than Infinity War was, and it was a lot more emotional than Infinity War. Now, Infinity War also had its emotional impacts in it too. Like, there were a lot of emotional moments in Infinity War, but Endgame it was definitely a lot. It was definitely a lot more emotional. I'll even go as far to say that it's right up there with Logan, and that's a huge statement, because Logan is a very depressing film. But the major difference here, though, is that Logan was an entirely dark movie, and even though Endgame is a dark, emotional film, there's a lot of humor in the movie, and the humor is actually some of the best that any of the Marvel films have than any of the other Marvel films that we've seen in the past couple or so years. Like, the humor was top notch in Endgame, which I just felt like that the balance between comedy and drama in Endgame was a lot better than Infinity War, because, like I said, even though there was a lot of forced humor in Infinity War. This is just my personal opinion, so don't get on my case. But yeah, there was a lot of forced humor in it. I mean, there were some jokes in Infinity War that were funny, but a lot of it was just forced. But I felt like Endgame was a lot more natural and a lot more better. Like, the humor was top notch, and the dark moments, like, literally had me at the edge of my seat, really. So as you guys would probably expect, the only thing that you guys should expect from this movie, which is literally the synopsis of the film, is that it revolves around the Avengers basically trying to undo the damage that Thanos has done in Infinity War. Um, basically, um, basically, what they have to do, is that they have to go back in time, and they have to basically retrieve all the stones before Thanos gets a hold of them, which leads to the events of Infinity War, where he finally does get all the stones and does the infamous snap of doom. You know what I mean? But other than that, I'm not gonna go too much into the story, because that there would be spoilers if I were to do that. But that's basically what you should expect from the film, is that there is time traveling involved in this movie. So yeah, if Endgame was it was a brilliant movie. I'll even go as far to say that Endgame is quite possibly the best Marvel film of the MCU, simply because it wrapped everything up. It took all the characters that we know and love, put them in the most action-packed movie of them all, with a very satisfying finale, and it's a really epic movie. It really is. I still hold on to the first Avengers movie with great memories and all that, because the first Avengers movie, in my opinion, I still think the first Avengers movie was still the best simply because of how much of an impact it had on superhero movies. But if you were to tell me, like, in terms of the storyline, which one was the best, I would say Endgame is definitely the best as far as story goes. But as far as impact on movies in general, it still goes to the first Avengers movie. But again, this is just my opinion, so please just bear with me. Endgame has a lot of great visuals. Like, the special effects in this movie are top notch. This movie is 3 hours of nonstop action, drama, comedy, and fun. It manages to do something that the WWE fails to do, like with Monday Night Raw. And you already know how Monday Night Raw lasts for 3 hours, including the pay-per-views that last for like 3 or 4 hours, and yet, people aren't so entertained by them because the product is, really bad. I know that's a really crappy comparison, to compare, a wrestling show to a movie, but I'm just exemplifying how this movie managed to do more in 3 hours than what they did. But again, odd comparison, so yeah, don't at me, okay? Um, Endgame had tons of emotion. It had tons of humor, tons of great action. The performances were definitely the spectacle of this movie. I felt like basically all the actors and actresses basically went all out in this movie. They really did, and the crowd, the crowd that I was watching this movie with, they were amazing. Like, I went to see this in a theater. I actually have front row seats, so we managed to see this movie really up close, which it did kind of look super awkward, but it was still it was still a decent view. You know what I mean? But the crowd was absolutely amazing. They were reacting to everything, and everybody kept clapping and everything. Like, it was absolutely amazing how engaged the audience was into the movie. Like, they were all seriously into it, and that's why I feel like Endgame was a lot better, because like the crowd reactions was a lot better than Infinity War. And I mean, to be fair, the crowd reaction shouldn't decipher how good or bad a movie is, but I'm just saying, because like, the audience was, again, they were so heavy, on what happens in Endgame more so than Infinity War. And Endgame, again, managed to wrap everything up after 11 years of telling the Infinity story, and it's just an overall great movie. Now, I will be making a non-spoiler review. I mean, not a non-spoiler. This actually is a non-spoiler review, so pardon what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I will be making a spoiler review where I basically talk about everything that happens in the movie. So I would highly recommend not watching that unless you guys insist, on watching it and getting spoiled. And this only applies to those who probably don't even care about seeing the movie and they just want to know what happens. But for those of you who have already seen the movie, but you guys want to hear my full thoughts on this movie, definitely go to that video. This video, on the other hand, is just me giving my simple thoughts on the film. Really, it's just a great movie. It's the best MCU movie since the first Avengers movie, and it's just a spectacle. Like, I just fucking love it. So anyway, just peace out, Disney Beyond the Infinite. Stay tuned for the spoiler review, and enjoy the rest of your day, guys.